Galileo, The Voyage to Aurora. Prologue, A New Dawn, circa 2123. In the year 2123, Earth stood transformed. After a century of devastating climate change, ecological collapse, and geopolitical fragmentation, the human race had finally done the unthinkable. It united. Rising from the ashes of its own self-destruction, the United Earth Commonwealth, UEC, formed in 2087. It was not born from utopian idealism, but necessity. The very survival of the species demanded it. With borders erased and languages shared via seamless translation implants, humanity no longer saw itself as nations, but as one planet. The UEC directed massive resources toward restoring the biosphere. Coral reefs were regrown using bioprinted latticework and nanobot gardeners. Decimated rainforests returned, nurtured by genetically modified soil microbes. Even extinct species like the black rhino and the blue macaw were reintroduced through cloning efforts. By 2105, Earth was healing. With stability came curiosity and ambition. Permanent colonies had been established on the Moon and Mars, and scientific outposts dotted the Jovian moons, Europa, Callisto, Ganymede. Titan's methane lakes hosted robotic skimmers. Humanity had become a solar system species, but always the stars beckoned. And so, the Galileo was born. A marvel of human achievement, the Galileo was the first ship capable of sustained relativistic travel. At 50% the speed of light, it would journey to Proxima Centauri, Earth's nearest stellar neighbor, located 4.24 light-years away. A rocky, Earth-like planet orbiting in its habitable zone, Proxima Centauri b had been studied for decades. Conditions appeared ideal: breathable atmosphere, moderate temperatures, liquid water. The mission was bold, to not only explore, but to colonize. On board the Galileo were 1,000 colonists held in cryogenic hibernation, a full suite of terraforming and construction equipment, advanced labs, and an AI named Gal, short for Galileo, a neural network so advanced it bordered on sentience. The crew, carefully chosen, was small but critical. Captain Jackson Chambers, a Boston-born veteran of the UEC Space Force, decorated for valor and known for his unshakable pragmatism. He carried the weight of a family legacy in uniform. Dr. Chris Villari, the towering, jovial chief medical officer from the Moon's Eagles Landing colony. His humor masked a brilliant medical mind and a deep empathy for others. Engineer Lakshmi P.D., a genius from Bangalore, quiet and analytical. She rarely spoke unless necessary, but when she did, solutions followed. Together they would embark on a voyage humanity had dreamed of for millennia. Chapter 1. Departure. Confirm engine readiness. All systems green, Gal's voice replied, calm, feminine, and faintly British, the accent chosen by popular vote decades ago. Captain Jackson Chambers stood on the Galileo's bridge, a viewing window stretching around the room like a halo. Below, Earth glowed, a restored blue marble framed in starlight. "Begin undocking sequence," Chambers said. "Acknowledged," said Gal. The docking arms of EarthDock retracted with a soft vibration. For the first time in her life, Galileo was free. Dr. Chris Villari floated in with an exaggerated flip, his head nearly brushing the ceiling. "Still ducking everywhere," he groaned. "Remind me again why Earth decided on standard height." "Gravity builds stronger bones," Chambers replied without looking. "Gravity builds sore necks." Engineer Lakshmi P.D. said nothing, her eyes darting between console readouts, confirming them against her wrist-linked diagnostic band. The Galileo began its departure burn. 2 engines, each the size of a city bus, pushed out controlled fusion pulses. The ship trembled briefly, then glided forward. Earth shrank behind them. "Engine 2 showing a loss of thrust vector stability," Gal announced calmly. "Diagnostics indicate a fuel injector misalignment." Chambers was already moving. "Lakshmi, suit up. We'll take the crawl tube to the engine housing." PD nodded and disappeared silently down the access corridor. Villari frowned. Want me to prep the med bay? No time for dramatics, Chambers muttered, grabbing a maintenance kit. The crawl tube to the aft engine housing was barely 2 feet wide and unlit. Chambers and Petey maneuvered in silence, magnetic gloves keeping them stable. At the engine core, a shimmering heat shield shimmered with residual radiation. Petey extended a diagnostic probe, her fingers moving like a pianist. Injector valve 7A stuck, she murmured. Bypass engaged. Chambers pried open a control panel and manually cycled the system. The valve hissed, then clicked. The thrust stabilized. Thrust profile normal, Gal said. By the time they returned to the bridge, Valari was tapping out a tune on a tablet. You two okay? We're good, Chambers said. Get ready for sleep. They entered the hibernation chamber, a circular room with pods like metallic coffins. Gal's voice softened. Vital signs normal, inducing metabolic suspension. Chambers slipped into unconsciousness, thinking of his father's old words. We fight not for us, but for what we leave behind. Chapter 2. The Drift. 5 years later. Lights flickered in the chamber as Gal slowly roused the crew from hibernation. Captain Chambers blinked groggily, skin clammy and cold. Status? You've been asleep for 1,856 days, Gal reported. We are 1 year from arrival at Proxima Centauri b. Preparations for deceleration must begin. Dr. Valari yawned, then winced. Feels like I slept on a bag of bricks, except I am the bag. Engineer Petey was already dressed, reviewing system updates from her wrist module. The bridge still gleamed as it had years earlier. Chambers ran a gloved hand over the console. Turn us around, Gal. Let's point those engines at Proxima and slow us down. Gal's voice hesitated. Captain, navigational sensors indicate a course deviation of 0.024 degrees. Impact damage sustained from micrometeor activity. Petey's head shot up. That's enough to miss the planet entirely. Chambers swore softly. Show me. A star map appeared in front of them, Galileo drifting slightly off target, like a dart that had veered too early. Can we correct? Yes, Petey confirmed, but it will cost us 1 more year of flight time. Chambers ran the math. Fine. Make it happen. As Petey and Gal began the delicate engine firing sequence to realign their course, Valari watched the hibernation pods. These people were only supposed to be asleep for 8.6 years. We're pushing it to nearly 10, he said. Will they survive? Chambers asked. Probably, Valari said. But probably isn't good enough. He spent the next 3 weeks working with Gal, adjusting metabolic parameters, rewriting protein folding protocols, recalibrating the nutrient drip systems inside the pods. I feel like I'm trying to age wine by freezing it, he muttered. But Gal was adaptive, and together they wrote the code that would see the colonists safely through the extended sleep. We're back on course, Chambers confirmed one morning. Arrival in 367 days. Valari raised a tube of recycled coffee. To the longest pit stop in history. Chapter 3. Aurora. The moment they'd dreamed of came with no fanfare. One moment it was a dot on the screen. The next, it filled the window. A brilliant blue-green orb with swirling clouds and a sun that blazed red-gold on the horizon. Ladies and gentlemen, Chambers said, welcome to Proxima Centauri b. Bit of a mouthful, Valari said. Can we rename it? Chambers smiled for the first time in weeks. What did you have in mind? Petey stared, eyes wide. It looks like dawn, like Earth, before us. Aurora, Valari whispered. It means dawn. Perfect. They toasted with champagne sealed in bulb pouches carbonation, fizzing gently in 0G. Then the shuttle detached, dropping toward Aurora's surface with a roar. 20 colonists had been awakened. Among them were geologists, biologists, and surveyors. The shuttle landed on a vast, grassy plain bordered by jagged mountains. Ocean glittered in the distance. The air was thick with moisture but breathable. The soil rich, dark. Fern-like plants waved lazily in a soft wind. No large animals, no predators, just quiet, primal life. Over the following days, they set up atmospheric monitors, solar panels, shelters, and labs. Dr. Valari led medical surveys. Blood work from the colonists is clean. No reactions to the air, the food, or the microbes, he reported. Even Aurora's bacteria are friendly. Chambers stood on a cliff, watching the sun rise twice. Aurora's unusual axial tilt caused dramatic shifts in light. He raised a beacon. "This is Captain Jackson Chambers of the Galileo. We have landed. Colony established. Humanity has reached the stars." Back on Earth, it would take over 4 years for the message to arrive. But for Chambers, it didn't matter. They were home. Epilogue. The Magellan. 10 years later. The Galileo rested in geosynchronous orbit above Aurora, now home to over 7,000 colonists. Cities were rising, farms sprawled across valleys, life had taken root. Chambers, Valari, and Petey sat once more on the bridge. "Still hate this chair," Valari said, cracking his neck. "You're still too tall," Chambers replied, sipping tea. Petey was hunched over a console, sketching plans for Aurora's first fusion power station. "I never thought we'd get this far," Chambers admitted. "We had some close calls," Valari said. "Remember the fungal outbreak, or the Aurora storms that fried half our gear?" Chambers smiled. "We adapted." Gal's voice echoed softly. "Incoming signal from deep space. Estimated arrival of the Magellan colony ship. 412 days. More people, more dreams. The future was arriving today.